How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. We're here after another win, this time in the Carabao Cup. Nice, healthy 5-1 win against Bolton, and we're through to play Preston away, the Invincibles derby. One we'll probably talk about more coming up to that game. Big up Jordan, James, and Lee Judges as always. And yeah, how's everyone? All good?
Yes,
Very
mate.
good.
All good.
All
Very
smiles.
good.
All smiles. Jordan's got a hard out at 9. So we got to make this podcast prim and proper and not waste any time.
The thing is, I've got so many interruptions, but I know that I can't do it now because I'm the one that needs to fucking be out of here at 9 o'clock.
Oh, I'm glad you know. Jordan will tell me before a show he needs to go out early, and then Jordan will be the one that interrupts me on the show when it's time to wrap it up. But we love Jordan. Hit the like button, people. Make sure you're subscribed. 1,000 likes. Let's get that nice and early. And whilst you're at it, people, the Gooniverse, Lee Judges TV, Whisper It Loudly, Turkish LD, and the Big Six, all of that individual channels. We're all doing good stuff on there too. So I'll show some love to the individuals. But let's get into it. As always, it's become custom. Start with the gentleman, and I say gentleman loosely, that goes to the game. Lee Judges. How was it? Carabao Cup. I know it tends to bring a younger crowd, but the younger crowd tend to bring the energy. Was that the same last night?
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I enjoy those games because it's an opportunity. Like I took my daughter yesterday, it was an opportunity to take her and a couple of my mate Stuart and his girls come as well. And they first game that they'd been to, and they just were so excited, you know, to see them watching the game. Like, you know, they're all young girls, obviously, like, you know, under 20, but they were just really excited just watching the game. And like, you know, I said to them, "Did you enjoy watching in that game?" They all said the youngsters. They really, you know, I know Declan Rice is out there and Saka and all that, but they, you know, they were on the side of the youngsters because they can relate to them, I suppose. Like, you know, and obviously like the 16-year-old Jack in there, like, you know, they was like. Yeah. They couldn't believe that he was 16, you know, and he was playing, you know, like for Arsenal, you know. So it was really good. I thought the atmosphere was fantastic yesterday, and the youngsters didn't disappoint. They did not disappoint. I thought all of them. I thought Josh grew into the game. If I'll be honest, I thought he was a bit nervy at first, but you can expect that. Ethan just breezed it. Absolutely breezed it. Like, you know, I'm putting him in the category now of Jack Wilshere. I see Jack yesterday, but like. I do think that he's in that sort of category now. Like, you know, just from the first minute, you could, you know, what the other, like, I'd even say that Lewis was a little bit, he wasn't nervous, but you see that you've got to be a little bit nervous. It was his own debut at the Emirates. Guys, he just breezed it. It just like, it was something like, well, this is what I've trained for the last 10 years or whatever. And I think he's ready now. I really do. I've said it all along. I thought he was fantastic in America. But I know it's only Bolton, but I'm at this stage now, like, you know, give him a couple of games, and it was good to score some goals. But I've got to say, lads, I'm not enjoying it. We've got to change this predicting thing up. Like, I predicted 2-0, and at 2-0, I'm going, right, shut up shop. Let's keep it like, you know, let's be boring, like, you know what I mean. Then it goes 3-0, and the first thing that comes in my mind is I'm watching a game of football. I think it was Jordan. Yeah, someone's going to win it. Someone's going to win it today, like, you know. Someone's going to win it today. I'm looking at it. No one predicted that Bolton had scored, so that was great. You know what I mean? Oh, that's bad, lads. I feel really bad, like, you know. And so I'm going from, I'll keep it close at 2-0. So when we're going 3-0, get 4. Make sure we get 5. You know, but we done well. Like,
that's your problem, mate.
Yeah, it's a problem because, you know, I can't stand not winning against you guys. It is my problem. You know, I have to admit that, like, you know. And some of the fans don't help when they come up here and they say, like, you know, oh, like, you know, what's going on? You can't let James win, or, you know what I mean? Like, keep Turkish at the bottom. I'm going, yes, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I do. It's bad, but I tell you, the love for Fourever Arsenal again yesterday. I have to say, like, you know, there were so many people come up to him about it. Very complimentary. So whoever did, like, you know, I can't remember the names now, but there was loads. And I really enjoy those games. And I think I really enjoy those games because there's a little bit of pressure off as well, boys, you know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can enjoy it a little bit more if it's 1-1 or whatever with 10 minutes. You ain't like thinking, oh, I've got to score. Just, you know it's going to come. But, yeah, thoroughly enjoyable night. I really enjoyed it.
That's what it's all about, man. I mean, but when you mentioned you went with your daughter, we saw White Yardy bring his son in, and
Yeah.
many people do that for the Carabao. And obviously, I've got a 3.5-year-old, so soon that's going to be me. And the Carabao Cup is the one that you can get tickets. It's very fairly priced, and it tends to be one of those family young days out. So long may that continue. And finally, I said, "Gone."
Didn't you bring your son to like Liverpool at home or something?
No, I bought in Brentford Premier
Swim
League.
in a
When
Oh,
deep
right.
end, James.
Oh, that
Swim
was
in.
one of the most intense home games of the season. I actually remember that was win to go top of the league.
you got to start at the deep end, mate. I told him this is make or break this one, and you're coming to it first game. So.
Nice, fun, friendly atmosphere. Fucking come on! Guy in the 88th minute winning
Good
us the match,
times. Good
throwing
times.
your son into the crowd. Yeah.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. I don't know if I'll be throwing him for Carabao Cup, but yeah, the Premier League ones, Champions League ones, we have to throw him about a little bit. But yeah, look, forget the young crowd and bringing in family. I mean, the young team. Like, this is the first League Cup game I've been interested in for years. I can't remember the last one I've been interested in. Why? Because we've got a good, solid first team. We've got a good, solid squad. We've got a side that we know is going to compete now. And when we had a side that we knew was going to compete, when we had a solid side, the last time that was 20 years ago. And with that side came young players that were given a chance in the League Cup, Worthington Cup, Coca-Cola, whatever it was called back then. And I get the feeling, and I got the feeling that it's very similar to those times where NWANERI, I want to see what he's about. Lewis Skelly, I want to see what he's about. Calafiori at left centre back, a good chance for a new signing to play in a position we haven't seen him in. Kivio, no minutes so far this season, or very little. He needs some minutes. Bring him in there too. So the way we had to use the game, the way the game was used, and the feeling of the game resonated with me. Finally, it was like Lee said, it's like you take yourself away from all the heated emotion of the Premier League, because it is very heated. Game week 5 or game week 30. That's just, part and parcel of it. The League Cup's like a welcome break. It's like, all right, you've done your job in the first 5 games of the season, 3 tough away games. Here's a League Cup fixture. Mix it up a little bit, give the youngsters a chance, and let's see how it goes. And that's exactly how I felt. And when it goes 5-1, you can't really complain at all.
Yeah, I second all of that. For me, the standout players, I thought Lewis Skelly first half was running the show. I know it's not exciting to say this name. I thought Jorginho was class. He walked it, didn't he? He just looked like a master on the field. Just every pass in behind, everything he swept up brilliantly. The biggest compliment I can play to NWANERI is that I was watching him and I thought, this is a profile we don't have in the squad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've got anyone that you can put in central midfield, that you could put out on the right, that you could put false 9, who gets the ball and stands up a player. Just looks at them. And you're like, am I going right or am I going left? He's got that stand up, he's not moving and drop the shoulder, gone. And I really like that. I think we've got tricky players. I think we've got some dribblers, but I don't know if we've got that kind of stop and start kind of dribbler in the team. I thought his decision making as well throughout. He didn't force anything. Yeah, there was the odd moment where he maybe should have passed and he tried to turn. He shouldn't. But that's any creative player or any attacking player is going to have that in a game, whether you're 17 or 28. His decision making throughout I thought was fantastic. And in the first half in particular, we actually didn't really get into that much of a rhythm and flow attacking wise. When we did, he was at the heart of it. The opening goal that Declan Rice scores, well done to Josh Nichols, who I thought had some good some good and not great moments, but that's okay. Youngster making his debut. But what I thought Nichols did really well, he understood his position really well, whether to be tucked in or then when to find that overlap. And when he did find that overlap for the opening goal, NWANERI, who's in the 10 spot, recognizes it's a really small thing. Let me just drop in to make a triangle for a 1-2. And we did. And he, then the cutback leads to Declan Rice. The two of them, what did you say on Tour Turkish was that we didn't really learn. We skipped a beat. Even when the youngsters came in, they understood the roles and the positions. And too often in these ties, in previous years, we've seen the likes of Cedric and Elneny and others come in, squad players, and we did the football and the flow fell away, and it shouldn't have, because they were still squad players. But we noticed in pre-season that these youngsters were actually kind of keeping that momentum going, and they definitely did in this game, certainly from kind of the 20th minute onwards for sure. And then my kind of final sort of pick out was actually Raheem Sterling, who I think had a mixed first half. I think there was some good and not great moments, but it wasn't so much the performance, which, by the way, I thought was good overall. I actually thought he was very good throughout the whole game. Would he play 70 minutes or something? But what I loved was the element he gave us, constantly spinning off the fullback into space, constantly trying to find that running behind. And if you are, I didn't even do a thumbs up, brilliant. And if you are going to have a mid block and be quite aggressive on the press with Arsenal, Sterling becomes a complete other problem for sides to defend. You're not talking about getting the ball out to Martinelli and Saka's feet where they're running at fullbacks. Sterling didn't want that. He wanted the ball in behind. And I love that Lewis Skelly 3 times tried to find him. The first 2 times couldn't quite get it right, but the third time he did, we then get that second goal. And then Jorginho was picking him out as well. So even just the pure pace and movement of Raheem Sterling was a problem for Bolton, which you'd expect it to be. I mean, let's also remember we are playing Bolton with all due respect. But that's not the point. Keep making those runs. Keep trying to attack that space in behind. And Sterling could give us a dimension that no other winger in the team's really given us recently, not on that consistent basis. So yeah, those are my highlights. Lewis Skelly, NWANERI, and Sterling were the real pickouts. I thought Kivior had a very good game as well. Good to see that, because I think we've kind of forgotten about him amidst signing Calafiora and Timber returning. But listen, with the injury record of Zinchenko and Tommy, he's going to have to play some football, and he looked very solid as well. So good on him.
Yeah, completely agree with everything there. Everything. Jordan, you've been quiet.
Yeah. No, just overall, my thoughts are impressive. I'm really glad that we put a team like Bolton to the sword, especially after Sunday. I think we needed to come out and just get some goals out of us. I think we needed to kind of batter someone. I think we needed to kind of just, like, you know, put that sort of scoreline as a follow-up through the Man City game. This is the trophy that I want to win. I know for you, Turkish, it's like, meh, and nice to have. It's not really a priority, but I think we need to win a trophy. I think big clubs win trophies. And whilst if we only win the League Cup, I'm not going to be ecstatic. This is a trophy that I think for Mikel Arteta more than anything else, I think he needs a trophy to kind of really just kind of keep that winner's mentality kind of ticking over. I thought the keeper, is it Southwood? Is it Southwood? Luke Southwood.
Which one?
His name? Our
Jack,
keeper.
Oh,
Jack Porter.
Yeah.
Oh, who's Southwood?
The Bolton goalkeeper.
Oh, the wrong keeper. Sorry. I read the wrong keeper down here.
You might as well give us the review of the Bolton keeper as well, whilst you're right.
I written the wrong keeper down.
The guy said Southwood. I'm thinking, well, what's going on?
Let's start again.
I don't know. We're a bit far in for that, mate.
Yeah, we are. I've killed myself.
Don't worry, man.
Nothing screams highlights more
I
than...
know. No, I actually did watch the game, but I've written down the wrong goal. Sorry, my bad. I thought, considering
Big up to the Bolton goalkeeper, only conceded 5.
He had a blind.
He's got a long career at Arsenal.
I think we talk about youngsters making their debuts and playing high-level football and how difficult it is. But being a goalkeeper and being that young, I just think to myself, like, you know, you're going to be in for it today. I think that's the most pressurized position on the pitch, and to do it so young. I don't look at him and think to myself, yeah, there's a goalkeeper I think in 5 years' time is going to be elite. I didn't see that, but I thought, considering the circumstance, I thought he carried himself really, really well. Lee mentioned NWANERI and said that, you know, he got him in the Jack Wilshere bracket. I think the guy's a high talent, but my bar, maybe I'm just being my usual harsh self, my bar for like youngsters coming through, in particular Arsenal, is really, really high. And I've only ever seen 3 players at that age play for Arsenal, be it reserves or in the League Cup, that I've thought, I think this guy's going to go to the top. The only 3 I've seen were Fabregas, Cole, and Vela. I thought Vela was going to be, he didn't turn out to be a top player, but I thought when the first time I saw Carlos Vela, I thought to myself, this guy's going to be a Ballon d'Or winner. I thought this guy's a problem. Mugged me off clearly there, you know what I mean? But they're the only 3 players I've looked at Arsenal and thought to myself, talent-wise, youth-wise, they're going to be the next ones. I didn't think that with Ranieri, although I do think he played very, very well. I do like how lively he is and how direct he is. Excuse me. And I think he's a guy we're going to see a lot of this season. I think he'll get 10 Premier League appearances this season. I think someone of that age, I think that's quite impressive. Also by the virtue of the fact that we've got Odegaard out for a few weeks, I think he will kind of come on for certain games. So I thought overall we did what we had to do. I'm glad that we didn't just win it 2-0. I'm glad that we won 5-0. We've got a nice draw in the next round. I don't think of anybody else that stood out. No one really stood out for me, but I thought everybody performed well and to a high level.
You know, John, you make a good point about teenagers there, because I don't know if Ranieri's going to go to the top, but what I look at it with Ranieri is that he excites me as a fan to watch him play.
Sure.
Fabregas done that. Anelka done that for me when he first came into the team. I couldn't believe at his age. Jack Wilshere done that, and I think when you look at this, if you played football, to play at the Premier League at 17, and whether it's Bolton or not at 17, and really basically boss the midfield with the way he played, I find that very exciting. I do, whether he goes on or whatever. But I watched him, and I totally agree with what James said. Lewis Skelly's another one, but he does things that are based. He does the basics right. Everything that he does there, he's got good touch. But a very, very good player. He's going to go on and have a good career. But he's just got that little bit more X factor. Ranieri. I think it's from a fan's point of view that I look at that. I just was very excited by it. I used to, when Jack Wilshere first came into the side, and Fabregas as well, I was excited by those players. But young kids coming in and playing at Arsenal, and I love it. I think it's really, really good. I think that what they've done also is highlighted yesterday that the squad is perhaps a little bit stronger than what we think it is because of these youngsters. They've been given a chance. And the other thing that I think you've got to say about Lewis and Ethan is that one's come on away at Tottenham, and one's come on away at Manchester City. So he believes in them, because it's not like, I'm just going to give them the minutes in the League Cup. That I know we laughed about it, but it is true what he said about it. He was on a booking, and they still trusted him to come in and do the business there, And then, Tottenham, 10 minutes to go, pivotal role that he played in that, Ethan, of just keeping the ball and things like that, So I'm excited about him. But from a fan's point of view, sometimes you need that as a fan as well. Don't you feel like you love the Declan Rices and all that, And I just noticed from the girls yesterday, you had Declan Rice out there, Saka, Jesus, Sterling, who's an international, all these international, but they was focusing on the youngsters as well, and that, I love that. I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I was going to say it is part of our DNA as a club. It is. We do want to see youngsters get opportunities. We do want to see that path being there, and I think that's also, like you said, I think Turkish summed up when he said it's the most excited he's been for a cup game in age. I mean, same. I was actually really excited to tune in and see the team. I love that it was Nichols getting his opportunity. I mean, I like also that sort of being too cringe about it. A round of applause for Jack Porter in goal and just all the youngsters. I mean, 16, 17, it's ridiculously young. I mean, we're kind of an 18-year-old coming in and making, an appearance is okay, fair play. And 18 is always the age I see as okay, you can sort of get some football now if you're good enough. That feels but anything sort of 17, 16 feels ridiculously young. And to come in, the Emirates, and they all played well, fair play to them. That's a big moment for all of them.
I don't.
Just a couple of. Sorry, go on, Serge. Go on.
I don't think Porter's good enough, though, man. I think we got to sell him and move on, man. We can't put our hopes and aspirations into. He changed his face. He was thinking,
get the money while we can.
Porter,
he's peaked. He's peaked.
Whoever's watching this, I'm playing.
I've never nearly logged off a podcast quickly. There's no way my name is being associated with this.
Go on, Jordan.
But just on a couple of the senior players, I mean Sterling and Saka. Sterling, first of all, I think it was important that he got off the mark. And I don't know who said it, but I don't think he was amazing, but he was good. He was good, and he was the senior player that he is, and amongst kids and lower league players, he showed that Raheem Sterling a goal and an assist. I think it was important that he now is off the mark, and okay, it was a tap in, but Sterling's up and running. We're going to need Sterling at some points in the season. But I also think for Saka, I'm still really intrigued by the fact that he started. And I just wonder if with Saka, I don't know, if you're not going to rest Saka at this point of the season, at this stage of the competition, against this sort of opposition, I just wondered to myself, when are you going to give him a rest? And I'm intrigued by the fact of maybe, I wonder if Saka's one of those players that the coaching staff and the medics think, to keep Saka at his best, you kind of have to keep him playing. He's not the sort of player that if you take him out for a couple of games, if he comes in after 2 games rested, he's cold. I'm trying to think to myself, why are they not resting Bukayo Saka? And it can only be because they feel like he has to kind of keep ticking over to keep him at his best. Some players can take him out for 2 games, bring them back in, and they're back at 8 out of 10. Maybe they feel like Bukayo Saka is the sort of player that if he goes cold, it takes him a while to get warm again. I don't know. I just didn't quite understand why they started him.
Well, on the preview, me, Tesh, and Robbie were discussing Saka, and actually we went as far as to predict that he could start this game because there was no natural right-sided player. Okay, you could have played Sterling there, but that would have meant Martinelli starting the game, and he put in such a massive shift against Man City. I think I wasn't that surprised, actually, and nor was I that bothered that Saka started for the first time ever. I think in the last 3 years, if Saka had started that game, I'd have been furious. I think I went to a war with Robbie about it once on a starting 11 show. I just thought, absolutely no way. He should have been playing some previous games. With this one, I got it because he came off against Tottenham with what was maybe a small injury or something. I think he sort of didn't play the last 20 minutes, maybe. He came off against Atalanta again, I think around the 65th minute or something like that. Then he missed a whole half of football against City on Sunday. And I actually just thought, yeah, it's maybe 1 or 2 of those he probably should have completed, the 90. And this was a sensible hour of football they gave him, maybe a touch longer. I don't know if I've got all my times quite right there, but my bigger point is I thought it was all right. Yeah, keep him ticking over, and that's fine. And also, I'm sure, I'm sure players go out there to give their best. I'm sure there is a level of don't completely overexert yourself. Don't fly into any reckless challenges. Just keep everything ticking going forward. Not that it maybe needed to, but I didn't notice his work rate, for example, like I maybe have in previous games. And he did well. See, he helped play a big part in that Sterling goal. So I kind of got it. I was okay with it. And we're in a position where, again, if things are going well on Saturday, you can take him off again to move Sterling to the right, and we can sort of do other things with that. So I was okay with it. I was fine with it.
I want to ask about who knocked on the door for Saturday. Is NWANERI the only one that knocked on the door? I mean, I suggested he starts on Saturday. It's a home game against a newly promoted side. He's just coming off the back of 2 goals, and our team will be pretty strong around him. But does anyone disagree? Does anyone think anyone else should have a?
Can I go first with NWANERI? I was thinking about that Turkish, and I've not been overly convinced with Trossard in the Spurs and City game in that Odegaard role. I don't think he's been brilliant. He's done a job, not been brilliant, but I still would stick with Trossard in this game because Leicester's a different type of opposition to City and Spurs, which both were away. So I'm prepared to give Trossard another go in that role. And bring NWANERI off the bench if needs be. I think we've got to be careful with NWANERI. We've got a talent there for sure. Let's not do what we've done with a lot of other youngsters in years gone by, where we've thrown them in and it's kind of killed them. I don't think we have to start NWANERI against Leicester at home. So don't. Just give him 20 minutes off the bench. Do you know what I mean? You're hoping and assuming we're ahead by the time he comes on 70 minutes. That's the thinking. So I wouldn't not start him, but not because I don't think he's good enough. I just think just keep the minutes totting up. I think starting him is quite a big deal. So I'd be hesitant to kind of start him. I would stick with Trossard for this game. So I think Trossard will be better in a home game against Leicester than I think he has been, in my view, against Spurs and City both away.
I jump in the gun, James Lee.
No, I'm with you on this. Like, you know, don't forget we've got PSG on Tuesday. We've got to look at that game as well. Like, I feel that Trossard's come in that role. It's a little bit harsh on him, but he's had to play in a more defensive shape. And I think that the game on Saturday is going to be like, you know, low block, got to get it through. And I think James made a great point. What beats a low block? Players that take on players and beat that block by beating players. And I think that Trossard's more of a passing sort of a player, pass and move sort of a player. Maybe a game for him to play out on the left and not Martinelli, but you know he sort of left out Martinelli yesterday, so I would imagine he's coming. I think there's a couple of decisions to be made. I think that the one thing going against Wanya, and this is the one thing that I would say is going against him, people will turn around and quite rightly so. Well, it was against Bolton. So I'm going, yeah, well, let's see if he can do it against Leicester. And if he does it against Leicester, people go, oh, it's only Leicester. Can he do it against it? He's going to have that little bit of pressure on him, but he's got to start somewhere. And I like the way that we used it yesterday as a training session. I think not no disrespect to Bolton. Like let's open up a little bit, see what we can do. Left ourselves open at the back for the goal. I've got to say that again. That's a little bit of a worry, particularly at home. You know, the way we defend away from home, we do leave ourselves exposed at the back. And Jorginho up against an 18-year-old, it was a bit of a mismatch, if I'll be honest. So we'll have to look at that. But no, I think that he's done. I think Kivior done very well as well. I'm not saying he's going to come into the team, but I think he put in a performance yesterday. Don't forget about me, guys. Don't forget about me. I thought he was the best defender of it all. So I like that. And then Jesus, I thought played really well yesterday without scoring, like, you know, and he needs a goal. But you could see that he was.
Lee was at the drinks last night, I think.
No, I thought some of the stuff that he'd done, like, you know,
Oh, I was about to single him out as someone who really disappointed.
So was I.
I see the goal that he made in was it the last goal when he beats the two players and everything like that.
That was good.
Oh yeah.
There was some good little bits of skill, like, you know, but it just looks like a player that's trying too hard to try and make an impact. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just want, you know, he had that chance, didn't he? If he scores that goal, he might have got. I thought with Sterling, to be honest, they were very, very similar in the first 20, 25 minutes. And then Sterling creates that goal, and I think his confidence went from there. I just feel that Jesus needed that a little bit, like, you know. But I wouldn't say that Jesus done enough to say, right, he's going to start. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's in any of the three positions. But he's a trier. He worked really hard last night.
But that's the issue, Lee. So it's just cut you there. That's the issue for me. I think in them sort of games, Jesus has to, if he's not going to score in them kind of games,
I agree.
He's got to be man of the match. He's got to come out of that game. Like, I didn't get a goal. I was the best player. Yeah, I think he's got to score in those games. But if you're not going to score, you've got to be like, right, I haven't scored, but I've been the best player on the pitch. I've set up 2 goals. Do you know what I mean? And he didn't score.
Didn't do enough. I know what you're saying. Just didn't do enough. I get that. There was flashes of it, but not enough to say, right, you know, you're back and whatever. And I just want him to do well, I suppose, and it's just not quite happening for him at the moment.
Don't we all? I mean, I love Gabriel Jesus. I think when he came in, those 3-4 months of performances before he got injured,
sensational,
were some of like the best I've seen over the last few years. He wasn't racking up goal after goal. I mean, he was scoring plenty, to be fair. He scored a fair few in that time. But it was just like, he's not the tallest, but he was incredibly strong. Like, defenders were bouncing off him. Like, the flair he displayed, like constant twisting and turning. Like, he had everyone in the Premier League just in his pocket. Just he looked absolutely phenomenal. And there was a point where I thought, I don't care that you're not scoring goals, because the amount of attacking football you're generating via your strength, your intelligence, your movement, your dribbling, everything else. I just loved watching him play. And I felt that the most we've ever unlocked Martinelli and Saka was when, as goal scoring threats, was when Jesus was knitting it together as the false 9. And I loved what he brought to this team. But I have to just, I don't want to go overboard, because it's a cup game. And dare I say, with also him returning from injury, we kind of forget that it was only 2 weeks ago that even he was kind of dealing with a small injury. I don't want to go overboard, but these are the games where I need you to show me that you've still got some of that in you, where you almost need to bully a Bolton a little bit and just remind us, like, I will get there in the Premier League. Let me just remind you of what I can do. I've been really quite disappointed with you. I thought he was really poor against Atalanta, actually. And I don't think he was at it in this game, though I do think he got better. And I think he ended the game actually looking quite sharp. And I say it from a position of loving the player. I really love the player. I would love Jesus to rediscover anything like that form. And maybe because of the knee injury, it might not ever come quite back in that same way. But we've still seen flashes last season, albeit in preseason or whatever it might be. We've still seen flashes of that player. And I really hope we get it back because I love it. He's just miles off that right now. I've always said I don't need Jesus to score 25 goals a season. That's not the requirement I put next to his name. What I loved about him was the entertainer he was. And yesterday there was just moments where, I don't know if you remember, there was one moment in the first half where he got the ball, he turned, he dribbled, and he just needed to pass it into Lewis Skelly. He was there to then like run onto it, and then the pitch had opened up. But he overplayed and he turned back. And I just thought, come on, Gabby, like you are better than this. He was trying turns into players. He was trying to hold off defenders and he couldn't. If he can rediscover that ability to just bounce defenders off him and just be this kind of pinball of a player, then he's just going to be such a joy. And I think he's still got it in him. I believe he does. And I honestly, I say this all from a position of love for the guy, but I've been really let down by these last two starts. And I really hope he discovers it again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something. I mean, the injuries, he's not the same man since the injuries. That's how I look at it.
And it's such a shame. Like, it's not his fault. But
that moment before the goal, the last goal, the nutmeg, and then the getting
quality.
We used to see that 7, 8, 9 times a game.
Yeah,
and that was, and you're right. I'd never expected 25 from Jesus, but I do expect. Like, look at when he came on against Bayern last year, got the ball, wanted the ball, pulled strings, made things happen. In that cameo, that was his best. I think that's his best piece of minutes he's had since his initial injury.
Yeah,
but Bolton, you would have expected a lot more of that, and we didn't really get it. I agree. He was the same as Sterling up until Sterling got that chance in behind, and then Sterling kind of the confidence grew and he got more into the game. Jesus struggled for me. When he first came, the first 6 months, he was special because the way he could turn defenders, the way he was on the ball as a footballer, I didn't see anyone better than him in the side. He's fallen off a long way since then, but all we can hope for is he stays fit and then just rediscovers some of the form. That's what we have to hope for.
Totally, mate. And you know, if there's one valuable lesson I learned from Sunday from Thomas Partey's performance is I'm not going to write Jesus off. Like, you know, it's a very similar story. Injuries, has it affected them, slowed them down? Have they lost that yard of pace, that dynamism, whatever? But Partey got back to his best against the very best. And I'm hoping maybe with Jesus, it's a case of, I don't know, sometimes in sport, actually, again, I sound like I'm being really rude to Bolton. I don't mean to be, and I don't think football works in this way, but sometimes you raise your level for the opponent or that opponent brings that out of you. And maybe we'll see that from Jesus in some way. Atalanta proved that wasn't necessarily the case, but maybe it will be in future. Maybe he just needs more football and he'll get there. He's an extremely hard worker, and I think the talent's there. And I'm so glad you mentioned Bayern because I couldn't quite remember what appearance it was, but it was that Bayern game where he came on. And when he plays like that, he feels like a cheat code because you've got someone who, when there's a really crowded area of the pitch, he'll take 2 or 3 of them out of it. And then he'll open up a pitch that you thought was too congested. He can do that. And I don't actually know who else in that team has that ability. Maybe a Martinelli at his best at times. But I want us to not give up on Jesus, keep going, but I need to see more from him. And I felt that he was one of the disappointments of the night for me. But, you know, in the context of the night, I hardly was walking away thinking, oh no, you know, things are terrible because Jesus didn't turn up. I know he's got better performances to come. But yeah, I did feel that was worth mentioning.
Yeah, I agree.
Love him there.
I agree. Jordan, did you want to say something or?
Nope.
Okay. To be honest, we mentioned Partey today. Maybe we didn't talk about him enough on Monday because it was solid against Man City, but I'm weary of time as well. So we'll just keep it moving, people. He got his rest, and I'm sure he's back in for Leicester. Regarding Thomas and Jesus, still needs to do a little bit more. James.
Yeah, well, I think that raised the bigger point of good squad management from Arteta. I think he's got everything right, really, in terms of we really praise him Sunday for the subs and the tactics or whatever. And then in this game, I felt the 11 was right. I felt the management of minutes was right. I liked the subs. Everyone who I wanted getting minutes. Kakuri, by the way, looks a unit, doesn't he?
Yeah, it was good when he come on.
Yeah.
Like,
It was solid.
yeah, we subbed off Maldini for Maldini. That was good to see. But I thought the management of minutes was good, and actually, and extending that praise with Arteta, I think his management of the media has been great. I think everything. There's been a lot of noise post City, like a lot, and I think the way he has managed everything from talking about praising Man City to sort of saying that the game's behind us, saying we fully moved on. And then when he was asked about, what was he asked about? Something about the complaints of the Man City players. He basically he said something like he didn't want to comment, but then he said, I was there for 4 years. I have all the information. Trust me. Really good little subtle jab. Like, people, I was there. Like, don't criticize me because I know what goes on. And I think the way he's managed, and we've talked about this for a few pods now, but the way he's learning to manage the media and the way he's learning to just give the right amount each time, I think is great. That coupled with his management, I think we're seeing a manager really coming into his own now. And I hope it has to be, because otherwise every rival who hears this will say the same thing. What have you won? Fine, have that. But we need to follow that up and have that rebuttal now.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I asked about NWANERI earlier. He was the one for me that breaks into the side against Leicester. Sterling was the one mentioned by a few others regarding the Leicester game. Does he break into the starting 11 to be given a chance?
Not for me.
Okay, I agree.
Not this game.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But I think there's a chance he does eventually, because I think can offer something quite unique with that running behind. Not that Martinelli can't do that; he just doesn't do that much.
I'll change my mind. I would. I think he scored a goal and got an assist. It's a home game against Leicester. Martinelli again, when he came on, all right. I would. I think Martinelli. I think it was you, Turkish, on the last pod made the point about, or some made the point about competition at big clubs. You can't just keep playing okay. I had a big argument with a colleague of mine at work about Martinelli's performance, because James, he mentioned the part that James on the last pod mentioned Martinelli, and then I was seen to have been poo-pooing his performance. Like, I was saying to my friend, I wasn't poo-pooing his performance. I was just saying he wasn't good enough that I thought he warranted singling out. I thought he was good against Manchester City. I don't think he was Thomas Partey good, David Raya good, Calafiore good. I thought he was okay. And I just don't know how long you keep going on this whole let's play him into form. I don't know. So no, actually, I would start Sterling.
Nah, Martinelli keeps his place for me. Martinelli's been asked to do all the hard work. Like, he's been asked to do
I hear that.
All the tricky ones. I'd give him this, and I think his performances have been getting better. I think City was a good performance, very good performance, and I think yesterday his cameo was fine. Like, he had the beating with his fullback, which you'd expect. I'd definitely give him this game.
Pressure on him though, James. I'm saying it's pressure on him. He needs to perform. Because
should be on every player.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, a little bit more on him, because they're going to turn around and say, look, and we've been in this boat. Oh, well, he's played 3 defensive games. This is the one where he's got to now show his attacking stuff. And I expect him to play, but I'm desperate for him to do well. But there will be scrutiny on him if he doesn't.
Ideal scenario: Martinelli starts, gets a goal. Sterling comes off the bench, gets a goal.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's the ideal scenario. We're not looking at one particular player to trump the other. We're looking at them all to compete and all to push each other and in turn make Arsenal better and provide more threats in attack. So yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah, I think Trossard will probably keep his place in midfield though. So I know you asked that earlier. I didn't really answer it. I think Trossard, despite the red, will come back into the team. Because as much as I liked NWANERI, I do think, again, it went under the radar against City and maybe people didn't think much of it, but I don't think it was just some willy-nilly throwaway tactic, Rice playing to the right of Partey so Trossard could play on the left of it. I think if that's a balance Arteta sees working, then I think you've got Trossard playing in those pockets and the kind of left central area that I think really suit him. I think he can combine really well on that side and get to really good areas. And I actually, I defended his red card, and I also think he had a good first half against Man City. I thought he was good on and off the ball. And then Declan Rice, with that box, powering run on his right foot, remember, because every time he's making that run beyond Saka and the ball's laid through to him, whether it's on the underlap or he's overlapping Saka the other side, it's on his stronger right foot. So the cross and that digging out that ball to the back post or that cutback is a lot easier for him than what he's had to do from left central midfield. Then you've got a nice balance there. So if Ethan starts, I'm obviously delighted about it because I think he's a class player and he is the next in line to Ødegaard for that particular role. So you would think he should be playing it. But I've got no problem with it being Rice and Trossard on the left of central midfield. I think that's a nice balance still.
And other than that, are we looking pretty much same as then? No one else knocking on the door from the week. I mean, we're all of a sudden light defensively with Tomiyasu Vinny out. But really, we've got the personnel to cover. David Raya's come up as a potential injury concern, missing. It's hard to really discuss that one because if it's not him, then I mean, we're talking Neto or we're talking 16-year-old again. It probably would be Neto, but how big a loss would that be? I mean, he's had such a great start to the season. Kicked away the cobwebs of last season, if you could call it that. Ramsdale's been sold, and it was just a clear sight ahead. Man of the matches in the majority of our game this season, and then it seems like he might be out. I say might be because there's nothing confirmed. It's only loose rumors, but there is talk that he might miss the Leicester game on Saturday, which we should still get done. Even without Raya, I think we still should win that game. But at the same time, he's also been a big part of our clean sheets. We tend to always talk about Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Timber, Ben White, and so on. But Raya's been as key, if not more key, this season than all of them. But anything else to discuss team-wise for that Leicester game?
No, if Raya's not fit, then play Neto. That's what he's here for.
Jordan, you look puzzled.
Yeah, no, nothing team-wise, but I just think generally on the game, I think in the context of what happened on Sunday and Rodri being out for City, I don't want to focus too much on Manchester City. We've just got to do our job, right? That game's gone. They'll play their games and what will happen. But I think this is now a chance for us to put together a bit of a run. We have had a very difficult start to the season in terms of fixtures. Now it's like, okay, we have, and I know the kind of insert cliche, there's no easy games in the Premier League because it's not actually true. There are a few, but generally most games are difficult and you can't take liberties. We have got a, inverted commas, nice run where I think we've got to put a little bit of pressure now. Manchester City, they play first before us on the weekend against Newcastle. I think they're away at Newcastle. That's a game they might not win. They probably will win, but it's a game that they might not win. So we need to be ready to pounce just to kind of get in front. If we can get in front of Manchester City and then be the team that's ahead, I think that means a lot. I think that counts for something. So I think we've got to capitalize on the fact that they don't have Rodri by just being consistent. The draw on the weekend was great and is billed as a game of the season, rare, see in February, all that sort of stuff. But you don't win the leagues, in my opinion, by beating Manchester City. You win the leagues by beating everybody fourth down. Beat everybody else. That's what City do. They beat everybody else. They don't drop points against Leicester at home. So for me, it's very much about consistency I think it is. I think it is, Lee.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's only Leicester, but tick them off. 3 points. Get to Christmas, and we're top. We're top by a couple of points, hopefully. So I think it's a big game, and as far as the opposition aren't a difficult team to play, but I think it's a start of hopefully a run where we can kind of put a bit of pressure on the rest of the league.
It's interesting you bring up Newcastle City because in a lot of ways I'm excited and hoping that's an interesting match. You're missing Rodri, who's kind of the guy who holds that midfield together. And if there's actually one team that could punish you for that physically, it's Newcastle. Their midfield setup is to run all over you, basically. They've got the players that can do that. But I feel like if the Rodri absence, and it's a big if because City are brilliant, if the Rodri absence is to have an effect, I actually can see a little siege mentality from City in which they actually get through these first few games and they just flex and remind people what they're about. I think it will be once that wears off a little bit, maybe there'll be those moments where you go, oh, if Roger is there, oh, and then maybe that momentum. So I actually think they'll come through the Newcastle game, but if they don't, then that's gonna get the Emirates thinking, okay, there's an opportunity. So it is interesting. That's just before. I actually would have liked it to have been after. I'd have liked us to have played our game and then watch Newcastle City, but
yeah, like 5:31.
But
don't
anyway,
forget that Newcastle game. I think it was one of the pivotal moments of the season.
Last season,
they were losing that game
I
and brought De Bruyne on. I think there was only about 10 minutes to go. They were 2-1 down, and they pulled it back to 3-2. I remember I was away at the time, and I thought, wow, that's a statement win. That they were dead and buried at one stage. So you can't write them off. I agree, So ironic though that I don't know what the old Spurs fans are going to do now. Who do they cheer for that League Cup game? It's just because they've got their favourite team.
We dodged some some big teams there.
That last 6 come out. Bloody hell, we did.
I was watching the draw thing, and look, I actually do think you play a championship side away. If you take the piss with your 11, it can be a long night. So I think that's actually going to be interesting how Arteta to approach that, but we'll come to that when we do. But I was watching the draw, actually weirdly a bit tense. I couldn't believe how much I cared. I was sort of thinking, there's quite a lot of teams left in this. Like, don't give me Tottenham, City or Villa away. We've just done that. So I was actually quite relieved that we actually didn't have.
Yeah, when that draw come out, I bet the old half and half scarf went mad. He went, my God, we're going to make a fortune here, Man City Spurs scarves, half and halves. You know what I mean? Couldn't get any better for him. I know Abby will want one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, good, but Brighton, Liverpool as well. You get a couple of teams knocked out in terms of strength, and I'm happy with the draw. Like I said, it's nice that they're the other team that's gone unbeaten, obviously in a 22-game season, I think. But don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I do think you asked about the 11. I think Raya will be fine. I think maybe I'm being a bit cynical, but I think that the right message to get out there was that Raya had an injury and that they weren't going to risk him, because if he was fit, then playing him over giving a 16-year-old his debut might have been the better look, if you know what I mean. I don't know. And so maybe they just wanted to no, he's injured. We have no choice. Maybe they wanted to get out there. Or maybe I'm being far too optimistic about it. Like maybe Geniaz probably was limping out of the Etihad. So, hopefully he's right. I think he'll be okay. I mean, I do think the Athletic report was that he's expected to be fine for Leicester. So let's see about that. Otherwise, I mean, Timber, of course, no real kind of news there, but hopefully he's fine. And Ben White, again, he was a bit injured for City, but he did come in and play that game. So one of those two hopefully comes through and takes that right back spot. But because we're so stacked, we're not asking questions of players that no one means to be injured. No one means to be. But Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, where are you? I know. They don't mean to be. But it's just recurring issues there. And it reminds us of why we kept Kivior and why we signed Calafiori. Can you imagine if we didn't? Remember going into the summer, people were saying, sell Kivior. I don't really know why we need Calafiori. They had to start yesterday. We're really like that. Lewis Skelly's had to come on against Man City. So I really hope those two get fit. But let's not forget about them, because they have to play a part in this too. And I know they want to. But their injury record isn't the most. What were you going to say, John?
I was just going to say, just briefly, Tomiyasu is one of my favourite players. I think it's his last year at Arsenal. I think Timber is making this his last year now. I think we're going to move on from Tomiyasu. The injuries, he just can't stay fit. And I think he's been usurped now by Timber and Calafiori. I don't know where he plays. The beautiful thing about Tomiyasu was that he could play pretty much anywhere across the back four.
Yeah.
Well, so can Timber. Do you know what I mean? Pretty much Calafiori can as well now. So, yeah, I think Tomiyasu.
There must come a time when you, as a manager, that you start getting frustrated by it.
Yeah.
There must be a time that, and I'm with you, John. I'm a big Tomiyasu fan, but I'm getting fed up with it now. I'm at that stage where this is not you know, but he comes in, doesn't he? When he comes back, he plays really, really well.
He does. He does.
I love him. I love him, and that's part of the frustration, guys. Sorry, I actually feel a bit bad. I'm not trying to project negativity.
No, I get
around two players that we don't need to. Like, they were no part. They're nothing to do with it, and the squad depth is fine. I just, you know, I was watching yesterday, and I'm thinking ahead to the weekend, and I'm thinking of, oh, White, Timber, are you fit? Are you? And then I'm remembering the shift that they've put in at the start of the season. It's okay if they need to miss a game. Like, where are the others? And that's kind of what's reminding me. And like I said, no player means to be injured. No one is more disappointed about it than Tomiyasu. Same with Zinchenko. I love them to bits. I want them fit. But it's the same conversations we were having about Jesus a month ago when he wasn't fit for Villa and Partey. You know, I'm just trying to be consistent with it. Like, that's a little bit of a worry to maybe be addressed one day. But hopefully they come back, because I think they add something to the squad when they do.
Let us know what you think in the comment section, people. James said Tomiyasu out, Zinchenko out. What do you think? He said, I feel really bad. Don't worry about it, man. We know they're injured, innit? Obviously, they need to come back and be fit and play some games, and then we'll want them to stay. If you don't come back, be fit, play some games, then au revoir.
Yeah.
It is what it is. What can we do?
You know what I mean, though. It's a bit,
Yeah. Don't worry. It's all good. 50 minutes in. Have we hit 1,000 likes? I can't tell from here because we're still recording it, but you can tell from where you are now because you scroll down a little, you check how many we're on, and then you can either help us or just avoid, ignore, and keep it moving to the comment section because we've got comments of the day as usual. But hit the like button. Let's get to 1,000. Make sure you're subscribed as usual. Individual channels as well. I told you at the beginning. And a reminder, AFTV Plus is the app to download. Go into App Store, iOS, all of that stuff, and download the AFTV Plus app. Last week, I announced that you could join us in making predictions for each and every Arsenal game. I know there was some bugs in the background, but we believe that they are finally fixed. So if you go over, download the AFTV Plus app, join us in making predictions. Listen, we started on this one already. We're 7 games in. I'll bring the table up now. But we're also going to play with you from zero moving forward. So we've got this one amongst ourselves, and we've got the one with the community over the AFTV Plus app. So download it now. It starts this weekend against Leicester. Get your predictions in. And just a heads up, because I'm someone that does forget to do my FPL team week in, week out. You can predict the next 3 fixtures. So the next 3 fixtures you can predict. And when you do make a prediction, you can also go in and change it later on. So you can make a base loose prediction 2-3 weeks before the game. And then coming up closer to the game, if you do put a reminder, you can alter that prediction before the deadline. So download the AFTV Plus app, keep up with predictions, join the team, and play with the team. Make sure you do that, people. Hit the like button. And as you can see, everyone got a point from the Bolton win because everyone predicted a win, but no one predicted the correct score, 5-1. So it's as is going into this Leicester game. And James kicks us off with prediction again.
I'm just doing it on the app now. So I think Arsenal score 3. My big question is, do Leicester get one? Why do I have a feeling that everyone might think that we're just going to, you know, I don't know, stroll this, and then maybe they get a goal at when we're 1-0 up, or they go 1-0 up, and actually becomes a slightly nervy affair, but maybe we come through quite comfortably in the end. I'll go 3-1. I'll go 3-1. Enter. Then I put it in.
3-1. Jordan, up next.
One of my early podcasts, one of my podcasts this season, Whisper It Loudly, I said that I wanted Arsenal to not concede more than 10 goals at home this season. My target for them was 10 goals conceded at home. That was my challenge to the team. We're obviously 1 down with Brighton, so 9. These are the sort of games where I want clean sheets. I'm sorry, I've looked at Leicester attack. It's nothing that should be breaching our defense. So I'm gonna go 2-0. I'm gonna go 2-0.
2-0. Lee Judges smiling. Was that your prediction?
Yeah, I was going to go. I'm going to have to go 3 now. Then, I'm going to try and hit the top spot.
You're going to go 3 and not a 1-0.
3-0
to the Arsenal.
No, I think it could be even more goals in this if we play it right. But I'll be very, very disappointed if we concede in this game. That'd be a worry for me going forward. I know that sounds silly, but we've got to go when teams like Leicester and teams that come there and you don't give them nothing, not a thing, apart from a pizza after the game. End of.
I don't know if I agree with that. If we're playing scintillating football and we sort of slap them up and we go and I didn't do the thumbs up. If we go and slap them we score 4 or 5 and they nick one back. 5. We know this team can defend.
Yeah, I just think our home form. I still think our home form is my worry, James.
Yeah, but winning a game 4-1 wouldn't be like any.
No, but there are we give up too many chances.
Yeah,
away from home. Sorry, at home. That's my problem. I don't want to see that.
I sort of see that point. Yeah.
I want to see us be ruthless, 3-0, and people go for it. If you look at that, I always feel, I know it sounds silly. You might think I'm silly, but if it's 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, people look at that and go, "We ain't getting nothing here." But if you go 4-1, 5-2, you can get something. You can get something.
I get the point. Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah. Cool. That's the predictions in, people. So make sure you download the AFTV.
What's your one then?
I'll let you know on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. I tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me with you. I tell you that.
I tried it, 3 years and I haven't tried that one before. You caught me out. Well done.
Arsenal smashed them 5-0. Turkish on. I knew it. Yeah, I knew it'd be 5-0. I just knew it'd be 5.
That's an interesting tactic.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
I was gonna put a little.
Listen, it's going to be. The longer he's at the bottom, there'll be more dirty tactics coming this way. I tell you. Don't worry about that.
Without a shadow. Without a shadow.
Without a doubt. I know. I love that he admits it as well, but it's true.
Yeah, one day on the screen, they're going to see me leave the screen and then come and Keown Lee Judges in the back of the neck during the podcast and just have him out for the season. That's the table. That's the predictions. Oh, yeah,
no, you still haven't done your prediction.
Oh shit.
Lee's right. Lee's right. Turkish is a problem. Turkish is a big problem. Yeah, Turkish is shameless.
He's about to play the outro.
Scrap comments. Scrap my prediction.
I think someone's had his prediction. I think that's what he's worried about.
Yeah, you have 3-0. Let's go 4-0. Fuck it, 4-0. Let's hope.
I just know he's going mad for that 4th goal.
I'm gonna go mad.
Even if Sterling scores it.
I'll walk out. I will. I'll walk out.
Yeah, we know where
You'll
your
call him
priorities
signing
lie.
of the season.
We know where your priorities lie. Sorry, I forgot about the audio listeners. We are still on audio platforms. 7 games have been played, 7 predictions made. James ahead on 9 points with 2 correct scores. Jordan and Lee just behind on 8 points apiece, 1 correct score each. And I'm trailing somewhat, 5 points behind both of them and 6 behind James on 3 points with no correct scores. The predictions for Leicester: James has gone 3-1, Jordan's gone 2-0, Lee's gone 3-0, I've gone 4-0. And we move on to comments of the day. Is everyone ready?
Yeah,
ready. Yeah. Can I just say, you mentioned the podcast listeners. I do just want to, as prompted by Jordan rightly, apologize to the podcast listeners. The podcast has been coming out a bit late. It's a system flaw, mainly on my end. So I'm very sorry. But we are working with the head of production to have to get the podcast out along with the YouTube video. So apologies to the YouTube listeners. It is there, but just not always, at the same time as the YouTube release. Anyway, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go
on.
This was an epic show, guys. Much appreciated.
Liberties.
I should scrap this whole show. I was
actually packing up as well. I love that.
You went, all right then.
Yeah, that was up.
Put my mouse in my bag.
I should pack up this whole show and leave.
That's a point deducted.
I've got another one. I ain't stupid, am I? Like, you know what I mean? Look at that, All right, so I'll go again then.
Take it.
Yeah, round 2.
What's on analysis about the game? Turkish speaking in the second person. Lee giving stadium reports. Jordan watching the highlights. Class show. There you go.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
Yeah, I had that one.
Thank you very much. But I did say that when I thought I'd bring that one in like that. So really good.
I've got 3 quick ones I'll rattle through. There's one here. Jordan's point of view is always of someone that hasn't really played at any sort of level. Not his fault, just your view of football is formed from just watching. If you've never really been in that situation at any level of football, grassroots or pro, it's hard to understand that fight of playing with 10 men against a better team is undervalued from the media. I mean, could you patronize me anymore? But that's totally fine. Saying Martinelli wasn't good yesterday proves Jordan just watches the highlights. He was constantly burning Walker first half, creating chances and got an assist. Shut up, Jordan. And then the third one I've got here is Turkish is a great facilitator, which I agree with.
Thank you. Yeah, they did a nice one there. Okay, no.
That's nice. Yeah,
Oh no, one more here, one more. Great to see you all together. It was just missing Jordan's missus walking through the studio.
I've got one from Austin. And he says, we are calling in the firemen. The podcast is sizzling. The studio is on fire. I love the studio sessions. No Lee in a spa in Dubai. No cute girlfriends in the background. No one boasting a priceless jersey collection. And no geniuses showing off silly lamps and pets. Just kidding. Love you all.
Guys, that was mine. That was mine.
Oh yeah. Come shit, Morris. You know what I mean?
How did you find that? I just scroll loads. It has one like.
Yeah, I take my job serious on this thing.
You've always got to have a backup.
Do I? No.
Nah, we'll let you off.
You know what? I'm gonna let James off because that means I've let every single one of you off this season. So I don't want no more problems this year. Yeah.
That's why I've always preferred you to lead judges, mate. Always.
Oh, how can you even put us in the same sentence? Disgrace.
No, you're right.
I'm actually quite offended.
I'll tell you what, it's just
sorry. You're right. Yeah. That's why I've always preferred you, mate. Big up.
Lee, love you. James, love as always. Jordan, love as always, my brother. People, community, love for the love. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Get to 1,000 likes. All the predictions have been done. Comments of the day special as always. We are back. It'll come out on Sunday. We're going to be back recording Sunday morning, hopefully after another win in the Premier League, and it'll be out at some point on Sunday. But a reminder, AFTV Plus is the app. Download the app on iOS and all of that's, wherever you download it on your provider. And join us for the predictions, starting with Leicester at home at the Emirates this Saturday. We continue our one here, but we also join the club, the community, via the app. So we're starting on 0 on the app, people. So come challenge us. Get a star by your name too. Why not? And we'll be back again Sunday. Love for the love. Peace. We're out.